that were announced on that card. So we're gonna go to screen share and talk about that because man, um, there's two of them. There's two of them in particular that I'm really excited about. Now, obviously, you got your main event between Serhii Bohachuk and Brandon Adams, and then that co-main event for the prelims is the fight. The fight itself isn't like the greatest thing. It's more so the story. Like Ivan Dychko, top Olympian, a guy that I'm very familiar with because early in his career, he used to fight a lot in South Florida against overmatched competition. Had a bunch of bad management. 6'9", athletic, can really punch. I believe he won a bronze medal in the 2012 Olympics. So he had pedigree, and there was a lot of high hopes for Dychko. He's been in the Tyson Fury camp before, so I'm just happy to see Dychko in a fight, like a notable fight. But let's break down this prelims for a second because first and foremost, you got the rematch of the greatest fight in the history of Ring City, USA, between Serhii Bohachuk and Brandon Adams. And it was a fight where at the time, Bohachuk was knocking everybody out. He had at that time he had a 100% knockout ratio, and he was winning that fight. Like he was up on all the cards by a very good margin. He was in control until he wasn't, and then Brandon Adams caught him, hurt him, and then he stopped him. And it's crazy because Bohachuk's career has steadily improved since then. He had won like 5 or 6 fights. Then he fought Virgil, got screwed against Virgil, right? Then he fought Michael Fox in a fight where a lot of people thought Michael Fox got screwed and maybe he should have lost. And Bohachuk should have lost. So Bohachuk had a lot to prove. He had a lot to prove going into this fight. And he has to do it against the only guy that knocked him out. So he has to exercise some demons in this fight. And for Brandon Adams, he's had a very hard luck career. Really, he's had a tough career because he lost to Charlo early in his career when Charlo was the middleweight champion. He beat Bohachuk, right? But that fight didn't really springboard his career forward like you would think. He beat Bohachuk and we never heard from him again. Now, I have my theories as to why. Personally, I think he was locked into a very, very terrible contract with All Star Boxing and Tutu Sabala and them. But that's neither here nor there. Bad contract, bad business, screwed over his career. And he was on the shelf for a long time. We didn't see from Brandon Adams. We didn't hear from Brandon Adams. He wasn't visible, right? But then he came back. He came back from the doldrums, and then he fought on the OTX Overtime Boxing Series. He got all the way to the final, and then he lost a very close fight to the Greek fighter, Andre Katsurakis, who really, if we're talking about the top contenders and underrated fighters, 154, I think Andre Katsurakis is actually pretty good. So there's no shame in that loss, and a lot of people felt he won that fight. So I feel like both these fighters got a lot to prove. They both got history with each other, and I think that the winner of this fight is going to put themselves in position for a world title. And stylistically, it's a really interesting fight because you have Serhii Bohachuk, who is, he has that upright Ukrainian style, but then he also likes to get on the inside and mix it up like a Mexican fighter. He's got a lot of Mexican influence in his style because of all the sparring he's done over the years in California, in Big Bear, the trainers he's had, like he's trained with Manny Robles, he's trained with I believe Abel Sanchez as well. So it's got a lot of different elements to his style, and his conditioning is supremely elite. So he's a tough out for anybody. But again, he's gonna have to exercise some demons here. And I think with Brandon Adams, I think this is a great chance for him to really put himself back on the map against the guy that he originally put himself on the map against. Because most of the time when you lose in boxing, you don't get an opportunity like this. So he's getting an opportunity on a big stage. He's got to capitalize on it. I'm really, really excited for that fight. And then Dychko, man, he's fighting Jermaine Franklin. Now the timing of this is very intriguing because now I'm kind of curious to see who Moses Itama's going to fight, because Moses Itama and his team were saying they wanted to fight Jermaine Franklin because they felt that Jermaine Franklin was a fighter that could give them rounds, that was a competent professional. But Franklin's busy. Franklin's got a tall task with Ivan Dychko that he's got to go ahead and deal with. So I like this fight a lot because of the fact that Franklin gets his chance to maybe push his career forward. And Dychko, oh my God, I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I used to see Ivan Dychko all the time back in like 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I used to see him a lot because he was training in South Florida at the Heavyweight Factory. But he had management problems. You know, his managers, Elvis and Zia Aliev, who I believe he's still managed by. He might still be managed by those guys. But there were some problems management-wise. You know, he couldn't get fights. There wasn't money really being pumped into his career like that to get him forward. And I guess now with TKO Boxing entering the fold, you know, they've went ahead and signed him and are giving him a chance. So look, guys, Turkey's not all bad. Dana White's not all bad. For some fighters, TKO Boxing is going to be a saving grace. And a guy like Dychko, who doesn't really bring a lot of money to the table in terms of fighting him, who's also really good, who also could ruin the plans of a lot of fighters with a lot of money pumped into their careers, he's now getting a chance to shine on a big platform and have a legitimate boxing career. So good for him. I think TKO Boxing is going to serve well for guys like Dychko. And objectively speaking, it's not a bad heavyweight fight. Franklin is durable. He's tough. He knows how to fight. He's been in there with guys like Joshua and Dillian White, and he ain't no punk. Like, he knows how to fight. And it's Dychko. If Dychko wins this fight, you know, I think you can now start talking about Dychko fighting guys like, you know, maybe we can talk about Dychko versus Hrgovic, or Dychko versus Parker, or Dychko against Ig Caballero. I feel like, you know, or Dychko versus Jalolov. Like, he will now be able to fight those kind of guys because he beat a guy of this caliber. So it's really, really good. And then, you know, you got Reito Sutsumi. He's taking on Javier Martinez. That's a good fight. I'm not going to say the names, but I know some fighters that were offered to Reito Sutsumi that I would have loved to have seen those fighters fight him, but, you know, the fights didn't happen for whatever reason. You got Steve Nelson on the undercard. He's taking on a Cuban guy. So Steve Nelson, you know, trying to get himself a win after losing to Pacheco. And then you got the Mexican Olympian, the next golden boy of Mexican boxing. You got Marco Verde. So, you know, it's people who don't know boxing, they'll say, oh, this is a terrible prelims. I like it. I think those two fights, you know, Bohachuk and Adams, Dychko and Franklin, you can't really complain, you know. And I think if Dychko performs to the level that he's capable of against a guy like Franklin, a lot of people are going to start bandwagoning Dychko. Mark my words, guys, because that dude is big. He's like 6'8" or 6'9". He can move really well, and he can really, really punch. So yeah, he's dangerous. The guy's a dangerous fighter, and I'm hoping that he goes and he makes the most of his opportunity. And on top of that, you know, I know Dychko has a good coach because I know his coach. His coach is Tom Yankello, the former trainer of Paul Spadafora, who I'm supposed to get here on the channel soon. So that's what it is. That's what it is, man. But let me see. My man, Heavyweight Factory. Yeah, the Heavyweight Factory. It's a gym that's not really in operation anymore. But there was a time, man, like when I was going there. Whenever I go there, I'd see Dychko, and Dychko, you know, was there, and he would do some sparring here and there, and I'd watch Holyfield talk to him and certain guys, and there was even one time. I'll tell you guys another story. There was one time where because I have a scooter, I have like a motor scooter that I drive around on, this red Italian like motor scooter moped, and there was one time where I was just driving around the neighborhood. And I drove one time, and I saw Dychko doing his road work, and then I pulled over, and then I talked to him for like 5 minutes. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I like Dychko. Dychko can fight, man. He's been overlooked for way too long. He's been passed over for way too long, and this is his chance. If he doesn't perform and he gets knocked out by Franklin, he can't say he didn't get an opportunity on a big stage to show the world where what he actually is as a fighter. So that's what it is. BT, what do you think about Jesus Ramos' move to 160? Is it a permanent move or